Brandon Tatum joins us now. Brandon, welcome to the Blaze.
Hey, good morning.
First of all, we want to talk to you about your appearance on the BBC and the work you've been doing. But you're the co-founder of Blexit. Tell us about what that is, and tell us about that movement.
Yeah, so thank you for having me on the show. In 2018, Candace and I decided to launch a movement. And, Blexit is a play on the word Brexit, the British exit. It's kind of,
right.
The black exit. And many people associate it with politics. However, politics is not the subject matter here. We want to give people an opportunity to think for themselves, to be able to be the best version of themselves, and to exit the brainwashing that has been going on for centuries. And we do that. We give people opportunities to think in a different way. We present a different message to them. We have rallies. We have community outreach. We have over 40 chapters all around the country where people who are voluntarily going into cities, supporting the community, back to school drives. We're also starting an after school program to support children who may not have the adequate educational support at home. That's our objective, is to really give people an opportunity to get away from the brainwashing, to be the best version of themselves.
That's great. So it's not necessarily exit from the Democrat Party. It's more exiting a certain mindset.
Yes, and when you do, develop a better mindset and get away from brainwashing, I believe that inevitably people will exit the Democrat Party. Although we're not trying to, tell you how to vote. You're a grown person. You're an adult. You can do what you want to do. But we believe that once a person comes to the knowledge of freedom and the free thinking, that they'll leave the party of slavery.
No, I think you're right. Don't you find that that the African American community is much more conservative than they realize?
100%. My father's a perfect example. I think my father votes Democrat. I think he voted for Joe Biden, which he regrets. And I talked to him the other day. However, we grew up conservative. We didn't make excuses. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Nobody didn't hand out. My dad worked his whole life. He held us accountable. We 45 genders. We were growing up.
Right.
Traditional role. My daddy was the head of the house. What he said goes. I mean, all of those things. My daddy don't believe in. Nobody I know believe in high taxes and all of these other programs that seem to be pushed by Democrats.
Now, being a former police officer, what police force were you a part of, and how long ago was that?
Yeah, I was an officer for the Tucson Police Department in Arizona, and I left in 2017. I started the police department in 2011, so I was about a little over 6.5 years when you adjust the time I started during the year.
Okay, and I think what you're encountering as you're being interviewed, both here in the United States and then on outlets like the BBC, people have their minds pretty well made up that only blacks are shot by police. Far more are killed than any other ethnic race, and that. This is a pandemic, or it's an epidemic. The proportions are out of control, and I think they're shocked when you actually lay down some facts on them, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, I actually wish that was true, because then our country wouldn't look like it was full of brain dead people. I mean, it's not even close to being true. Black people are not hunted down by police. Any statistic or data that you look at, you'll see that white people actually get shot twice as much as black people. And, it's just not happening. The average black person is probably not interacting with police. It's really the highlighted situations of thugs, criminals who are breaking the law, resisting arrest, and necessitating a violent response that sometimes goes well and is justified, and sometimes it's not justified. But they are shocked when they hear a black man throw out the facts, throw out truth, and they have nowhere to go from there because they know they've been living a lie this whole time.
Now, did you have that impression like we did that the BBC, the person who was interviewing you from the BBC was somewhat shocked at what you were telling him, at what your opinions were? And it seemed to me he was trying to get out of you that, yeah, there's a lot of racism in America, and you weren't going there.
Yeah, I think we both were equally shocked. I thought they were going to talk back to me, and they started letting me go on, and I said, "Well, come on with it. If you don't interrupt me, I'm gonna say everything I want to say." And at first I was like, "What's happening right now? Is the guy fall asleep on the interview because he is not saying anything to me?" And usually, like CNN, the BBC was like, "Well, wait a minute." No, he just let me keep going.
He was shell shocked.
I kept going. Oh yeah, I don't know if the producer or whatever tricked him or I don't know what they were thinking, because if you watched 30 seconds of any video that I've ever been in, you could tell that I'm going to say something similar to what I did.
Now, how did that interview come to be? How did you wind up on BBC?
Well, I was on BBC before. I think they had me on a panel or something, and they let this black lady just talk over everybody the whole time, so maybe they didn't get a chance to hear me speak. But so the BBC reached out to my assistant and said, "Hey, we want to have him on to talk about these issues." And the funny thing is, I had a decision to do an interview with a local station or the BBC, because I wasn't really familiar with the BBC. I don't watch the BBC. But then I had a conversation with Candace Owens, because we're really good friends, and I said, "Hey, what should I do?" And she's like, "Oh, you need to do the BBC. It's a lot bigger platform, whatever." And so I ended up choosing it and going on there, and she warned me. She said, "Be careful, the BBC is kind of like CNN." And so I did go in kind of with a chip on my shoulder. I was like, you know what? If they say something, I'm going to get on them. I'm not going to just let them talk over me this time. And what do you know? They just let me go for it.
Do you find that when you lay down the facts, do people just disbelieve it? Do they think you're lying?
Well, I have different responses. Some people are like, they reject it. They go, "Oh, no, it's not true," whatever. And they're just completely brain dead. And then you have people that are stunned because their whole life has been a lie, and everything they said is being, unraveled right in front of their faces, and they act like the gentleman on the BBC, where they're like, okay, next question, let me go to another talking point, and then when that gets debunked, the interview is over. And a lot of people wake up because of facts. Larry Elder is one of those individuals that woke up a lot of people, because he was talking to Dave Rubin, and Dave Rubin tried to pull the race card, America's Races, and Larry Elder just beat him down for 30 minutes with facts, and that's shocking. And when you hear the facts, if you're a person that's receptive, it will change your life. You're like, I had no idea that these things were true.
Yeah, and it's so much more meaningful coming from you than it would be coming from me. Coming from me, they would accuse me of racism if I were to say some of the things that you have said. For instance, after you told them that twice as many whites are shot by police than blacks every year, then his response was that, well, it's disproportionate still among the black population. And then you had another fact that I'm sure stunned him. And when that comes from a white person, it's just not effective. Right. So when you say, well, right, but the violent crime is 50% of violent crime is committed by blacks when they're 13% of the population. That sounds racist from a white person. So that's why it's so much more effective, I think, for you to be saying something like that.
Yeah, I think it's effective when a white person say it, because anybody that has a brain stem that's receptive and not completely brainwashed, they'll hear facts and receive them. However, I do agree with you that it even becomes more effective because it's a shock factor, because they have an expectation that black people would just fall in line. But when you come and tell them that, no, I'm going to hold black people accountable. I'm not here to be a 100% advocate of black people. They can do no wrong. If black people are committing half of the murders in this country, We need to think this through. And 13% of the population is every black person. We know that every black person isn't a criminal. So you have to say that's probably 3% of the population of our country is committing half of the murders. That is extreme disproportionality. So when you have extreme disproportionality of crime committing, you're going to have a disproportional police response. However, even though there's a disproportionate police response, meaning that these inner cities are patrolled way heavily than majority white neighborhoods, white people still get shot twice as much as black people, unarmed and armed. So that tells you that technically, if you look at proportional police response and proportionality of policing, white people are targeted more than black people are. So it is a complete myth. And I didn't just come up with this because I'm trying to defend something. I looked at the facts, and I came away disappointed that black people are acting like this and doing this, and we're just completely not taking accountability for our own actions.